I finally found something to talk about. Yes, and it is about elderly people, but it is also about young people, eventually, kind of, as well. It's cool, it really is. I don't promise, but I think, yeah, I'll see you after the intro. As always. It actually took me really quite a long time to, I think, no, not half an hour, but maybe 15 minutes or something to find something to go through, to talk about, because I do not want to mindlessly go through some Reddit questions or something else that I normally do when I don't know what to go through. Check out the description. It's important. Please do that. And let's actually get through it and let's go through it. It's probably gonna fuck everything if I now do this. No, not really. I think it's fine. Yes, it is fine. As always. So, what is the ideal age to retire? ? Never, according to a neuroscientist. Which I think, even, I do not actually have to go through the article per se to say that it is something that's so incredibly important. At least for me. And it is actually something that I talk about really often. I think the podcast as such is a way for me to do work, which is also a point then later on in the article, to do work that is meaningful and that I think is meaningful. I don't really know if it is gonna, but I learned really a lot, and I wouldn't have been able to learn that without the podcast. Really not. Really not. I went through so many books. I spent so much time going through stuff. Of course, there has been a few episodes as well that have not been about something smart or something that's necessarily something you need to know or stuff. For sure not. But I've learned so much, and I do not really feel I'm doing some bullshit here or I'm doing something that's unnecessary or irrelevant. But I really feel that I'm doing something that's worthwhile doing. So, actually spoiling you, not good. Too much time spent with no purposes or no purpose is associated with unhappiness. So stay busy, as they say, but not with busy work or trivial pursuits, but with meaningful activities. Yes, I would say so. And I think for every elderly people, and I think it is also a great way to just also talk about not elderly people, just young people, because a lot of them are not doing something that's meaningful. And I think we all can do something that's meaningful. Whatever it actually might be. You can start such a lot of things, On the other hand, you could also just be I'm going to read something and this is meaningful for me, which can definitely be the case. Not gonna lie. If it is an incredible book, but what if just you finish the book? What's then gonna happen? This is actually also something to think about and to also talk about. What is gonna happen if something is finished or whatever it might be? Then what's the point then? What's the point of your life then? Kind of. But there are many ways. You can write a book. Everyone can write a book and then publish it on fucking Amazon. You can. And I'm doing it at a time. It is some work, but it is some meaningful work, I would say, because it could of course lead to something, but that's not necessarily my point. First of all, we all can, which might be actually one reason why you maybe also are then gonna do that, because you can, because I don't know, 50 years ago, nobody is a little bit overdone, I guess, but not such a lot of people would have been able to write a book and then also publish it. Everyone can do it right now because of the internet. And there is such a lot of things that you can do because of the internet. You could make music. You could start making music. You could also just build a home. You could also do sports. You could also just, run a marathon. I mean, as a young person, as an old person, I'm just talking to both sides. On one hand, I do also have to say, if I am old in a few years, a few is just, in 80 years or whenever I'm going to be old or whenever I'm actually going to feel old, then I am actually really fear that, and this is something that I'm thinking about right now, this is also something to consider, because I'm going to experience quite a lot of shit. I don't know if I'm going to think about it in that way then, as well. But if I sit around all day fucking long at home, doing nothing, watching TV, reading the fucking newspaper or whatever the fuck somebody that's retired does the whole fucking day long, couldn't do that. Literally couldn't do that. It would bore the shit out of me, because I don't know, I have to do something and I really also want to do something that makes sense. It should be something quote unquote meaningful. I interviewed a number of people between the ages of 70 and 100 in order to better understand what contributes to life satisfaction. Every single one of them has continued working. Some, like musicians Donald Fagen of Steely, Dan, age 71, and Judy Collins, age 80, have increased their workload. Others, like George Schultz, age 99, and the Dalai Lama, age 84, have modified their work schedule to accommodate age-related slowing, but in the partial days they work. They accomplish more than most of their younger counterparts, which I think is, I don't want to say that it is common, but I can imagine that, because you're so used to, well, it depends. If it is the job that you've been doing like for, 50 years right now, of course you're going to be fucking fast because you've done it for 50 years. It still depends what it is going to be all about. If it is like some really tough knowledge work, of course you get better. Of course you get faster. And of course you're probably also going to be faster than the young guns. But, it depends. It really does. It really, really, really does. Many employers will allow older adult workers to modify their schedule in order to continue working. Yes, fortunately, they are doing that. And, we're going to come to that. We're going to come to the point that I was willing to address now. Generally, the European Union permits determination at the pension retirement age. In Germany, for example, that's currently age 65 and is being extended to 67. Yeah, it is. In South Korea, the mandatory retirement age is 60. What, by the way, does mandatory mean? Required by a law or mandate. Yeah, you have to do that, isn't it? Required, binding, necessary. Yeah, it's mandatory. It's necessary to do that. Yeah, I do believe that, and this is something that professors of mine or teachers of mine always been talking. Well, actually, one of them always been talking about. Like, I'm probably gonna work till I'm, 70, 75, something like that. Like, there's gonna be, I'm probably gonna have to work more than other people. And if I'm thinking about it, 60 is also quite something. 65. It's not super old or shit. Really not. But it's also not that. It's also not like, okay, it's gonna be a few minutes, because it's not, and because it's 65 years, or it depends. But it might be 40 years of work, 30 years, 60. Well, no, maybe even 50 years. Like it actually depends. If you start working with 15, then it is gonna be exactly 50 years, which is a lot, and it definitely also, again, depends on the job, your position, and all sorts of different things. I think we need to work together to fight for changes in the way our society see older adults, particularly how they see them in the workforce. For example, the Deutsche Bank has been at the forefront of this kind of approach, and they reported fewer mistakes as well as increased positive feedback between young and old. Yeah, so just employing elderly people. Because, as I said before, and as I've been talking about before, there is some... I do wonder what it is. I'm sorry, but I don't know what the fuck is going on there. Just something. Well, I don't know. The thing is, having elderly people, and this is, by the way, also something that Gary Vee was talking about, like, relatively lately. Something that's actually pretty cool is having elderly people working for you and working in your business, because they probably know a lot. Not a lot of people want to have them, but they probably know a lot. Whether it is about design, whether it is about copywriting, whether it is about, I don't know, cooking, whether it is about whatever. They know a fucking lot, and they can teach that to the young guns, which makes them incredibly better than the competition's young guns, because knowledge, I don't want to say knowledge is king, because it's not, kind of, but I think it makes sense, and I think it is also, I think it's actually a great way, you know. They can work something, they can do something, they can do what they probably have done for just their whole entire life long, which means that they are probably going to be good at it, or at least not bad. I mean, yeah. Let's see. There's also companies like the non-profit Bright Focus that have people with Alzheimer's working for them, and they're doing it in the following way, or they just, well, they care about them in the following way. Let's just call it like that. Incorporating reminders into their day, written or verbal, yeah, I think makes sense. Dividing large tasks into smaller tasks, providing additional training when there are workplace changes, keeping the workplace clutter-free, reducing the number of hours worked per day or per week, and changing the time of day worked. Yeah, I think it is a great thing, and it just really reminded me of another company. I've been talking about it before as well, but I wasn't able to remember it back then, and I don't remember it right now as well, which is a pity and a little bit fucked up. But what I know is that they're employing a lot of people with, Asperger's syndrome, as far as I know, because they are able to do one task for an infinite amount of hours, because they're so into it, and they just they took advantage of that, which I think is a pretty cool thing for them and for the company, because you're having reliable and great workers, and they can do whatever the fuck makes them happy, or whatever the fuck it might be all about. Yeah, I think it's amazing, If continuing to work in your job isn't possible after a certain age, and if new employers are unwilling to hire all the workers, there are still ways to stay actively engaged in meaningful work. As I said, you can design something, you can write a book, which I think is just always a good thing. Like, if you're old, you know a lot of shit, there's a lot of stories you know about, and I think it is also just a pretty good way to get them out of your system, basically. Without having to maybe talk to somebody. It also depends on, whether you're lonely or not. I do often imagine elderly people being lonely. I think I would be, kind of. Even though it depends, of course, it really does. But yeah. I think it is a good idea to write a book, or write a blog post, or write a journal, or do something else that's meaningful, create music, have a podcast, and which is also amazing. Interviewing other elderly people could work, could be amazing, could be interesting. What could you do? Painting is cool. You could craft something. You could build a house, as I said before as well. You could grow something, gardening. You could build toys. Because there's certain robots and you can just piece them together and shit. You might be into that. You could also become a fan of something, become a fan of sports, and then just go into the stadium if this is meaningful. It could be. I don't know. You could be a music critic or an art critic. There's so many things that we could be doing, on which you're actually reviewing the stuff. There's actually a lot of things that you could be doing. There is a transformative effect in helping others, yes, indeed. If there is actually nothing that you can think of that you could be doing, then helping other people and trying to help other people is probably a good just thing to do, I guess. Always. And this is actually the end of the article. And here on the bottom we are having other articles, which are 3 ways that your memory stays sharp even as you get older. What's a nursing home combined with a child care center? A hopeful model for the future of aging. Yeah. I think it is a win-win. Kind of. It depends on the people, actually, because some elderly people, I guess at least, because chances are probably gonna be there, don't like children. you know? And also probably vice versa. There's going to be some kids that don't like elderly people. Probably. I don't want to end the episode there. Well, there's actually something else. Rather than identifying as old, young, or middle-aged, be an old person in training instead. Well, how a new kind of community is creating a better aging experience. Okay, sounds cool, sounds interesting. By the way, I find it really interesting, you know? This is the front page of the ideas.ted.com site, if I'm having it in this small window. So the window that you're seeing is the exact same size of the window that I'm seeing, you know? It's not bigger, it's not smaller, it's not whatever. Well, it's a slightly bigger because just on the top there's also like bookmarks and shit, and I've just cropped them away because it's not that important. But if I just do it like this, you can see that suddenly we see something else. You know, and if I even make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, then, and if I maybe zoom out even as well, yes, having it like this is really amazing, especially when nothing works. Like, you know, it was cool, right? We could go through an article in this way. And if we click on it, then everything looks different. We are also having like a lot of thoughts here. Dear guy, my family members keep posting angry political memes on social media. And by the way, the TED logo is actually pretty cool. And also like the colors in general, or the color theme of the website and the TED things. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the episode there because, I mean, stretching it unnecessarily is also not really like the best thing, I guess. So I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself that you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy. It basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person. And with that being said, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. And 3 other questions that I'm having for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? And these 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose, maybe even a business idea. But yeah, thank you really a lot. I really, truly appreciate that. I wish you a great day, a good day, an amazing day. And I'll hopefully see you the next time. So, bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.